What is up, pizza fans? It's your boy Graham, also known as HAMHOCKS42 on the internet, and today we are looking at a deck that Martin Sky was able to take to a second place finish in the Slice of Alchemy tournament on April 10th, 2022. So this is a Rakdos Sacrifice list that is pretty darn powerful. It has a lot of great pieces that are able to take advantage of synergies with one another to produce some very powerful effects. So let's get into the deck, see what it can do. We've got Blood Fountain in here as a one of, as well as Blood Chief's Thirst as a one of, both just solid one drops. In the case of Blood Fountain, it enters, creates a treasure token, and gives you the opportunity to pull cards out of your graveyard in the late game. Nothing wrong with that. And it gives you an artifact. It gives you two artifacts that you can sacrifice to other effects for value, which is nice. Blood Chief's Thirst is just good removal. It's great at picking off an early threat, as well as eliminating pesky planeswalkers late in the game. So that's pretty useful. We also have 3 Experimental Synthesizer. This impulsively draws a card when it enters and when it leaves. This is especially useful because in sacrifice decks, we're going to be in a deck like this, we're going to want to sacrifice our artifacts for value. So the Experimental Synthesizer is going to be biting the dust for a lot of different reasons. And being able to effectively draw 2 cards off of getting a body, getting an artifact on board and sacking it, that's just good stuff. So it fits really nicely into this style of deck. And it, these 3 synthesizers are going to get a lot of work done here, no question about it. We also have the Valdaran Epicure. This card is a 1-drop. It's a 1/1 vampire for 1. It doesn't really do anything particularly well, but it does a lot of things decently. It's pretty good on a lot of different axes. It's a 1/1 for 1. It's a vampire, which is maybe relevant in tribal synergies in other decks, admittedly. But it's a solid 1/1 body. When it enters the battlefield, deals 1 damage to each opponent, and you get a blood token. So it gives us 2 objects, 2 permanents that we can sacrifice for value in the late game, and it pings our opponent for 1, and it gives us a body we can attack with as early as turn 2. So Valdaran Epicure is just raw value. It's just this is what a good 1-drop ought to look like, and in this type of deck, we can definitely take advantage of it. We also have 4 Voltage Surge. One of the things that this deck is lacking is a lot of pinpoint removal. But Voltage Surge is the main one. This is the primary method by which we're going to be getting rid of our opponent's creatures and planeswalkers. So as an additional cost to cast this spell, you may sacrifice an artifact. It deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker, and if the additional cost was paid, so if you sacrifice an artifact, it deals 4 damage instead. This can remove a lot of very major threats in the format right now, even planeswalkers that have upticked in some circumstances. Just at the low cost of sacrificing something, which we were going to do anyway. So Voltage Surge is just, again, it's a really solid 1-drop for what you get, and it fits this deck perfectly. We also have 4 of Deadly Dispute. If you've been playing Standard or Alchemy or even Historic to some degree in the last few months since AFR dropped, you've probably seen this card. It's incredibly powerful. Sacrifice an artifact or creature, draw 2 cards, and create a treasure token for 2 mana. It gives you an automatic rebate or an instant rebate on one of its mana values or on one of its pips. And it's a sacrifice thing. You draw 2 cards. It does everything you want. It's absolutely fantastic. Like the moment Deadly Dispute came out, I was like, Village Rights, we're good. We got this. And so Deadly Dispute's absolutely fabulous. It does great work. It's a perfect sack outlet for this deck. We also have a 1 of Infernal Grasp because sometimes the Voltage Surge just isn't enough and we need to knock out something with toughness 5 or higher. And so Infernal Grasp is pretty good for that. But it is only a 1 of because Voltage Surge, again, is going to be our primary source of removal. We also have 2 Painful Bond. This is a card that was introduced in Kamigawa Alchemy that is truly bananas. For 2, you draw 2 cards, then cards in your hand with mana value 3 or greater perpetually gain. When you cast this spell, you lose 1 life. Looking at the deck, you will notice we have very few spells over 3 mana value. They're not none, but there are very few. So as a result, we're not going to have, if a card gets hit by Painful Bond at all in our hand, which is already unlikely, it's only going to be 1 life loss if we play it. So it's not even, the cost of this card in this deck is so low, it's absurd. And that's beautiful. Because even cards like Meathook Massacre, which we'll be getting into here in a second, when it's in the hand, for the purposes of Painful Bond, it's only considered to have a CMC of 2, or mana value of 2, because the X counts as 0 in that case. So that's pretty fantastic. So Painful Bond, it's just draw 2 for 2. And you may not even have to lose life in black. The card's fantastic. Molten Impact. This is a 2 of in the main. There is one in the sideboard as well. It deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker, and then if excess damage was dealt this way, when you cast your next instant or sorcery spell, Molten Impact deals damage equal to the excess to target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. Molten Impact is a really cool piece of removal because what it does is it can kill something up to 4 damage, and if it doesn't, if it kills something of lower damage and we play a Voltage Surge later, that Voltage Surge is going to get buffed up. It's going to get an additional couple points of damage added to it. So if you're picking off a 1/1 with this, well, you're just locking and loading 3 damage into the chamber for a later turn. That's not bad. You can do a lot worse than that. So Molten Impact is a cool piece of removal. Unfortunately, it is sorcery speed, but I think you can do a lot worse than that. All right, here's the main engine of the deck. This is the primary, well, engine. It's really what makes the whole thing fire, and that's the Oni Cult Anvil. This is an artifact. This is also from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. Black and a red. Whenever one or more artifacts you control leaves the battlefield during your turn, create a 1/1 colorless construct artifact creature token. This ability triggers only once each turn, and you can tap, sacrifice an artifact. It deals 1 damage to each opponent, and you gain 1 life. So it can ping, you can sacrifice it instant speed with it, and when one or more artifacts you control leaves the battlefield, or dies, or gets bounced, whatever the case may be, you create a construct creature token that can attack. You can also sacrifice it for other value later. So the fact that you sacrifice an artifact and it immediately replaces it replaces the sacrificed object with another artifact. That's just crazy good to me. Yeah. So Oni Called Anvil, it drives the whole ship. It's really what is the core piece of the puzzle here, to the point where if you're playing against this deck, if you find yourself in Alchemy playing against a Rakdos Sacrifice list and they stick the Oni Called Anvil, do whatever you need to do to get rid of it. It's very important to this deck. We also have the Meathook Massacre as a 3-of that I previously mentioned. Again, if you've been in Standard or Alchemy or Historic, I mean, actually even in older formats, I believe this card sees play. Meathook Massacre is kind of everywhere right now. It's a huge bomb for a lot of reasons, and it fits this deck specifically well because we're going to be flooding the board with small, little 1/1s if the Anvil is successful, and those little 1/1s are going to be dying a lot. And whenever a creature that we control dies, with the Meathook Massacre down, the opponent loses 1 life. So it's a way to increase the pings and increase the speed by which we take our opponent out. So, and on top of that, it's a board wipe. So it can completely wipe the board. A lot of games will be decided by Meathook Massacre. This is just a key piece of this deck as well. All right, we also have 4 Sanguine Brushstrokes. This is the alternative engine piece, the main synergy enabler. Sanguine Brushstroke says when it enters the battlefield, you create a blood token and conjure a card named Blood Artist onto the battlefield. Then whenever you sacrifice a blood token, each opponent loses 1 life. And Blood Artist says whenever Blood Artist or another creature dies, target player loses 1 life, you gain 1 life. So this is a great way to ping your opponent down. And it just adds to those pings, because what we want to be doing is we want to be sacrificing creatures and artifacts to be creating creatures to draw cards, sacrifice the creatures to ping our opponent down. That's really what we're trying to do. It's really fun, actually, to play a deck like this, because what it's capable of doing is getting a lot of little 1/1s on the board, chump blocking the opponent for days, and then just eating away their life total. And they can even feel like they're ahead in the game, but if they don't have trample on their creatures, you can just chew them away before they have an opportunity to really set up an offense that's capable of getting through your little defense. It actually feels really good. Yeah, so, and speaking of defense, another great card that is phenomenal on defense is City Stalker Connoisseur. This is the last non-land card in the main deck. City Stalker Connoisseur is a 3/3 Death Toucher for 4. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent discards a card with the greatest mana value among cards in their hand, and you create a blood token. So this is selective discard to a point. Most of the time this is going to hit their best thing. Not always, but it usually hits the curve topper, which is nice. That's exactly what we want to see. And it puts a 3/3 Death Toucher on board and an artifact that we can sacrifice to Deadly Dispute or the Oni Cult Anvil in the blood token. We can also use it can sacrifice itself to shuffle our hand, or, to select some cards for us. So it's great. And the 3/3 Death Toucher sitting back on defense, your opponent is going to be very, very reluctant to attack into that. So that's nice. It's a good feel. City Stalker Connoisseur is amazing. If you're running black in Alchemy, you probably should be running this card in at least a 3 of. In this case, we got 4 of, and I think it fits. The card's very it's just good. I don't know what else to say. As far as lands go, we have Hive of the Eye Tyrant, Takenuma, Abandoned Mire, Den of the Bugbear, and so Kenzen, Crucible of Defiance. Basically, all of the utility lands that you would expect to see in these colors. We also have a 1 of Forsaken Crossroads. It's just a good duel, but it does run the risk of coming into play tapped. And given how low our mana curve is, we really can't afford that here. So the fact that all of our other lands come into play untapped in most situations, we also do have 4 of the Haunted Ridge. So that is something that we need to be careful about. We need to manage that effectively because we're not going to want to jam that on turn 1 if we can help it, because we do want to be hitting our 1-drops. But yeah, so that's the main deck. In the sideboard, we have 3 Duresses. So going up against more control-heavy decks or decks that aren't running as many creatures, that can be very good against token strategies and the like. Check for Traps is more hand disruption, also good stuff. 2 Rolling Vortexes is interesting here. It's especially good against other decks running Meathook Massacre. Because of the ability, you pay 1 red, your opponent can't gain life this turn. So it pings your opponent down. It also negates their life gain strategies. So if you're going up against people who are depending on Righteous Valkyrie for value, for example, Roiling Vortex can effectively shut that down, and that feels really good. And with Meathook Massacre down, if they're trying to gain life off their creatures dying while you're trying to ping them with your creatures dying, you can deny their life gain with this, and that's very cool. Because usually when both players have Meathooks down, they negate each other, and that's not the case with Rolling Vortex. We also have 3 of Braids. It's especially good in the mirror by being able to pop the anvils, and it's also good at hitting cards like Asika's Chariot. It's great for removing those. We got 3 of those. There's the 3rd Molten Impact in the sideboard. We also have some Go Blanks to deal with graveyard-centric strategies, as well as hand disruption in situations where the opponent does not necessarily have a lot of card draw. That can be an especially powerful piece. And speaking of cards that discard cards, there are 2 Orvar in the sideboard. Now, this is a very interesting play, and it's one that we saw a lot at the Alchemy tournament. In competitive play right now in Alchemy, a lot of people have been putting Orvar in the sideboard, even if they don't have blue mana in their mana base. And you may be wondering why is that? And the main reason is because discard spells like Check for Traps, Duress, City Stalker Connoisseur, Undercity Plunder, they're kind of all over right now. In Alchemy, disrupting the opponent's hand is very common, and so if your opponent hits a City Stalker Connoisseur or an Undercity Plunder, you can discard Orvar and take advantage of the ability. When a spell or ability an opponent controls causes you to discard this card, create a token that's a copy of target permanent. So that gives you some value for your opponent hating on your hand. And that's pretty good. You can do some cool things with that. So that's the thought there behind having Orvar in the side. And so that would be slotted in against black decks that are running those discard effects. But yeah, so that's the deck. Again, huge shout out to Martin Sky, who was able to take this into the top 4 and actually take it into the top 2. Actually did see the finals with this deck. And we're going to take it on to the ladder. We're going to do some best of 1 just for the sake of this video. And let's see it in action, see what we can do. And thank you for tuning in. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Also, if you have any comments on videos like these, please leave those below. We'd love to hear your feedback. Yeah, and thank you so much. And let's get to the gameplay. We have 2 land with the Experimental Synthesizer and the Voldaren Epicure in the opening hand. This looks like a keeper to me. So I'm going to throw Kenzen and the Epicure. I'm hoping that we draw into some more lands so the Connoisseur can get to work. And the Synthesizer can help us do that. So here's hoping. All right. Hey, that actually is a pretty sweet hit for us. I want to throw the Synthesizer here. Let's see what we spin into, and that's going to dictate whether or not we play a land here. Fart. All right. We do miss out on the Deadly Dispute, which is bad. That's definitely a bummer. Maybe we should have held on to the Synthesizer, but that's okay. We'll be all right. We're at least closer to making sure we hit our land drops for the Connoisseur. And that's good. I like hitting my land drops. It's a good feeling. Real priority because of our blood token. Sure. Den of the Bugbear, it's not bad. Could be a lot better. I am going to throw it here so we can hit the Connoisseur on 4. We're off to a little bit of a slow start here, and I don't love that. We have an opportunity to blood away the Blood Chiefs Thirst, but without a, I don't know, without a benefit or without an outlet to take advantage of that, I'd like to hang on to the blood token. We can also throw this down as a black mana source for the Sanguine Brushstroke if we were to draw it. All right, I'm not gonna play the City Stalker Connoisseur here. And the reason I'm not playing it is because they've kept 3 mana up. They've got a huge grip of cards. They are screaming counterspell. And so I don't like it when my opponents scream counterspell. It makes me nervous. So I'm going to play around the counterspell. And maybe be sad, because maybe they don't have it in the end. We could have cracked the Experimental Synthesizer here. You're gonna divide by 0, huh? You really gonna do that to me? For real? Just because you need to go grab an Environmental Sciences? You're gonna use mathematical impossibilities on my board state? I don't appreciate that. And you grabbed the Pest Summoning. I was even incorrect about that. Interesting. Okay. Okay, alright, okay. Pest Summoning. Never would have thought that. That's a black... Okay. Cool, I guess? Alright, they're going to crack the Field of Ruin on their turn to get rid of our Den. Which is fair. Just going to let that resolve. We're going to go grab a Montanya. So we got 2 each just for good measure. Now they've got 2 mana down. I can't help but notice that that is not 3 mana. The difference between 2 and 3 mana is huge. Now, they might be sitting on... They might be sitting on Jawari Disruption. But they might not be. Let's rip the Connoisseur and hope. If they're sitting on a Sod Coming, we'd be golden. Jawari Disruption. Fart! Hate when that happens. Alright, we'll be okay. We haven't seen the Anvil nor the Brushstroke yet. We need, like, those are the key pieces that are really going to bring this thing home for us if this thing is going to get brought home for us. Which at this point, we'll see. Epicure is back again. Tell a friend. I was going to crack the Synthesizer here. I probably should have done it before hitting our land drop, but whatever. And we say goodbye to a Meat Hook now, too. Man, I'm having really bad luck with those impulsive draws. Yeah, we haven't set up, we haven't set up enough an engine. I mean, we've gotten them down to 12, so that's not nothing, but it's nowhere near where we want to be. Plus, they could just Meat Hook our board and make us sad. They're going to summon some pests, sure. That's to be expected. Fading Hope our token, yeah, that's also to be expected. What I think I need to start doing is I need to start dumping some stuff to these blood tokens, because we need to find answers, and we're just not getting there from here. The other thing we have right now is a Hive of the Eye Tyrant, so that's pretty nice. I'll tuck the land away. I will activate the Hive here. Excuse me. Yeah, it's Dimir Control at its finest. They just haven't answered everything we're trying, so this isn't going well. That said, I mean, we still got it down to 10, so even with Rip all in our hand, we're still doing okay. Could be doing a lot better though. Could be doing a lot better. Yeah, this actually is let me just say, I hope this game is more fun to watch than it is to play. I'm just gonna say it like that. But yeah, we're gonna hit the Sanguine Brushstroke here. They're gonna divide it by 0 because they're jerks. They're not actually jerks, I'm just frustrated, that's all. Alright, I want to get rid of one of these pests. They do get to gain the life, which I'm not happy about. I would swing in there, but I'd rather do it after the Brushstroke's online. They're going to hit a key to the archive, and I'm going to take a deep healing breath. Feels good. Alright, so they got the key to the archive. They're probably going to rip a Time Warp because most of the time when my opponents play that card, they rip a Time Warp. When I rip it, I get to claim the Firstborn. I'm like, what am I going to do with this? But anyway, it's all good. So there's key to the archive. Doing its thing. I also like the new spellbook animation. I think they did a good job with that. They're going to discard Envirosciences because they have all the mana in the world, so whatever. And they know we have the Brushstroke, so they're going to, if they have a counterspell, they're going to hold it up. And they probably do. They probably do. I'm going to play out the land, just, yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. Alright, cool. Hip and groovy. Blood Artist doing his thing. Gain one off the pest. Get pinged twice from Blood Artist. I'll take it. And we've got 4 blood tokens chilling, so if we don't like the card we draw, we can just churn through it with blood tokens and hit him with a bunch of Sanguine Brushstroke triggers. Medoc is a huge problem. Huge problem. Yeah, the fact that the life gain offsets the Blood Artist pings really sucks. This is where I'd really like those rolling vortexes that we've got on the sideboard, but they're not in the main, obviously. We're on best of 1, so what you gonna do? I'm gonna cry about it. I'm actually pretty cool with that. Connoisseur is actually pretty solid. I'm gonna try to hit it. We're gonna try to hit it, and worst case scenario, pull a counter spell out of their hand. Best case scenario, we rip a Hullbreaker Horror out of their hand and get another blood token. That'd be pretty cool. So worst case scenario has occurred. We pulled the counter spell out of their hand. Could have been a lot worse, but I'm still not happy. Their Eye and their Memory Deluge, it tells me that they don't have much in their hand. Ooh, and they actually tap out for the Memory Deluge. Well, they're not tapped out, they have the key, but they've tapped all their lands for the Memory Deluge on their main phase. That's very interesting. That tells me they probably have a 3-drop and they're digging for a land. That's my guess, but it's just a guess. We'll see. Alright, alright. Here we go now. Here we go. Den's actually not bad. It's not bad, but I think I want to get the Blood Train started. Oni Called Anvil was exactly what we needed. Perfect. So that's going to get pings going. It's going to establish a board state. Now they have a farewell, I'm just going to cry, but if they don't, we're in good shape all of a sudden. We're starting to build the board we needed. All right. So next turn, depending, they're gonna witness the future, get the Devious Cover Up back. All right, they really don't want to mill out, which is fair. They're sitting on 43 cards in the library, so that's not an issue. But they also dig for a card. All right. Notably, if they hit the token with the Fading Hope, we do not get, well, actually, we don't have any pings. They don't get the Medoc Massacre ping, which would be nice. I like that. So you saw Connoisseur into an empty hand, sure. Not a bad play, but it's not gonna get them where they're hoping. Deadly Dispute is pretty rad here. We're gonna Deadly Dispute one of these blood tokens, which gives us a Sanguine Brushstroke trigger as well as the Oni Cult Anvil trigger. And it creates this treasure token and draws this card. Sweet. We're gonna Grasp the Connoisseur. We get pinged for 1, and guess who doesn't care? This guy. This guy doesn't care. Ding ding. Alright. Then we're gonna blood token away the pathway. Brushstroke triggers. Got another Deadly Dispute. That's pretty rad. We're gonna attack for 1. Ding ding. Let me just end it here. We're not quite there. Like, we didn't quite have enough, because we could sacrifice the treasure token or one of our little homies here to ping an additional damage. But if we sacrifice one of our constructs, they gain a life off a meat hook. So that's not too great for us. And this is also keeping back Deadly Dispute in case they have another meat hook massacre or a board wipe. Hey, I realized I mentioned Farewell earlier, and they're not even the colors to play that. It's late while I'm recording this. I'm getting silly. Seagate Resto, sure. Alright, they're going to draw a bunch of cards. They only have 2 mana up to cast anything. So they drew a lot of cards and answered a lot of things that we had early, but I'm not seeing a win con yet. They have the Hall. So there's that. Another meat hook, sure. I don't love when my opponent hooks my meat, but, well, these things happen. And all of our little homies are going to die anyway, so I might as well get some value while I can. Ding, ding, ding. Epicure's fine. Alright, we just need to untap with the Oni Cult Anvil when we win this game, but unfortunately we didn't have... Now, that last turn, I'm now wondering if there was a line I could have taken that could have won it for us, and I could have... I mean, there might have been. I may have missed it. Because, yeah, we don't have any creature lands. Vulture Surge, I mean, we might have cracked the blood token, dumped the pathway, and hopefully dug for something that might have done it. Like a synthesizer or something like that. Or meat hook of our own. Maybe that might have gotten us there. Regrowth to Witness the Future. Man, they are dirtling hard. Yeah, this opponent is doing a lot of wheel spinning. Regrowth is presumably what... Yeah, that must have been what they got off the Key to the Archive. Which is a good card. Like, Regrowth is great. They're going to Witness the Future, grabbing up some more goodies. Again, they really do not want to mill themselves out, despite the fact they're drawing an obscene number of cards this game. And I think Witness the Future is not a bad card. It's just, you know, like, it's fine. But what I don't see... One of the things that is happening right now is our opponent has done a fantastic job of staying alive. But from my perspective, I haven't felt any pressure this whole game. Like, that might change... But as of right now, we're sitting pretty. Bouncing the Sanguine Brushstroke is a really interesting choice because if we play it out again, we're going to be able to get... If we play it out again, we're going to get another Blood Artist and another Blood Token. Sacrifice on the Anvil is a good call. Yeah, that's a very good call, actually. Yeah, we still got him. We still got him in the end. That was a long game, but we pulled it out. So... All right, let's go. I see 3 lands, an Oni Cult Anvil, a Sanguine Brushstroke, and a City Stalker Connoisseur. The only thing we're missing is a bomb 1-drop. That's it. We got everything else. That feels really good. I like that. I like that a lot. Alright, so Oni Cult Anvil coming down on 2. Into an empty board, which is not exactly where we want it to be, but that's okay. Sanguine Brushstroke's going to change that here shortly. Adversary coming down, so we're going up against mono red aggro. Good stuff. Okay. Alright. Okay. Take 2 here. That's fine. Infernal Grasp is nice. Brushstroke's nicer. I'm going to use the Anvil to sack the blood token. We get the triggers. And the Anvil is actually going to be gaining us life, which is pretty meaningful there. Pretty darn useful, if you ask me. You're going to swing in. I'm just going to take it. It's fine. It's all good. Blood Artist pings also gain us life. So that's very good. Alright, Blood Chief's worse than the Blood Artist. Fair enough. That's the correct choice, opponent. Can't even be mad. Another Haunted Ridge. I'll take it. Straight into a Connoisseur. A City Stalker Connoisseur. We're going to hit their hand. Ooh, we got a Sorin the Mirthless. That feels pretty good. We're going to Oni Cult Anvil the Blood Token. Get some triggers. Yo, dog, I heard you like triggers. And I'm actually going to attack with this little homie. Offer the trade. They don't take it. I don't blame them. Flooring is very good. But it's especially good if you can apply pressure. If you're not applying pressure, it's not that great. Here comes Epicure. Creating us yet another blood token. And then we have another City Stalker Connoisseur. Creating yet another blood token. And hitting on our opponent's hand. It's delicious. Ooh, Slaughter Specialist. Yeah, this is definitely Vampire Tribal that we're going up against here. And we're just... the pings are real. Florian having first strike means we don't really have any good attacks, but that's okay. Vamp's Vengeance? Okay, that's meaningful. I would really wish we had a Blood Artist down for that. Florian coming in. Epicure's going to take one for the team because I don't want them drawing cards. Alright. We're going to blast Florian here. Let's throw an Epicure. Crack a blood token to the Anvil. Get those sweet, sweet triggers. I'm just thinking with one Connoisseur, keep the other one back. They do have an opportunity to double block. Just a clean 2-for-1. I'll take it. Because Death Touch is rad. Now, they might have removal for my other Connoisseur, but to be honest, that's not the threat they need to worry about. And we also do have one more blood token that's right behind my head here. Vampire Socialite, yeah, that needs to be... The Vampire deck really needs to be out ahead, is really where it wants to be. It wants to be in charge. And we have set the tone for this game. That's exactly what we want. So Experimental Synthesizer is going to draw us a card here. It's going to be a Voltage Surge. Yeah, that'll work. I can work with that. Pew pew. I should go ahead and sack the Synthesizer. To impulsively draw another card. Hive of the Eye Tyrant. We haven't hit our land yet. You'll love to see it. Let's get in for some damage. Now, they may have a haster, but we're at 20 life, so I'm not too worried about it. Vamp's Vengeance again, coming in. Alright. But yeah, we got him. Man, this deck feels good. This deck feels real good. This is a pretty land-heavy hand, but the Valdaran Epicure and the Sanguine Brushstroke can help us filter out some of these lands if we end up getting flooded. So Den into Epicure is kind of exactly where we want to be, and we're on the play. So I think we're going to be just fine, everybody. Going to be just fine. All right, we got the Hive of the Eye Tyrant coming down. And we're holding Deadly Dispute back. If they try to kill the Epicure here, we can just Deadly Dispute it. They choose to foretell instead. I'm going to hold that for later. We're going to get more value out of it later. Bro Stroke. Alright. So we have the Blood Artist online. They're expressively iterating. Good for them. It's important to iterate on your ideas. I'm going to hit the Stormcraft Coast here. Okay. That looked to me like they had a 1-drop. They had a 1-drop and they were debating whether or not to throw it. I could be reading too much into this. I often do. That was the vibe I got from that whole exchange. Alright, I'm going to Blood away the Mountain. And Voltage Surge kills Goldspan, so I want to keep that. I want to keep that up big time. Fading up the Blood Artist. Mana value's 2. Do we let him do that or do we just sack it? We don't have a way to recur it out of the graveyard, so I think we let this happen. And then play it out. Those pings are very nice. I like those pings. Yeah, we're just going to play out the Blood Artist again. I don't love that. Kind of put us back a little bit, because now we're not holding up Deadly Dispute. But now they're going to expressively iterate one more time. And this whole time they do have something in Foretell. Could be a Behold the Multiverse, could be a Saw It Coming. Now they're going to Thundering Rebuke the Blood Artist, sure. To some degree, that's to be expected. I think we just Bugbear and Smash here. Sometimes Bugbear just gotta smash. And it creates additional bodies for us, which is always nice. So if we top like a Meat Hook or something like that, we can really go bananas. Alright, check it. We're gonna go ahead and Deadly Dispute that blood token, which triggers a Sanguine Brushstroke, and it creates a treasure token. If we use the treasure token to activate the Hive, I believe we just win on the spot, because that's going to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we'll be fine. So this forces them to have something. Some instant speed something. Fading Hope, that'll do. Alright, we're going to use the mana for the Den of the Bugbear to get a blood token trigger here. Says not nothing. The Fading Hope did kick our plans in the teeth pretty hard. They're going to Demon Bolt the Voltairean Epicure. That doesn't feel good if you're in that position, but it's what you got to do. 4 damage to get rid of a 1-drop is not where you want to be. Alright, and City Stalker is going to win us this game if they don't have any interaction. Because of the blood token it creates. But they have to have interaction. They're going to divide it? Okay. Yeah, environmental sciences to gain a little bit of life, sure. Chipping in for the damage, because we can. If we had one more mana, we could Meat Hook for the win there. That City Stalker Connoisseur might have been a little greedy. I might have been a little greedy. What can I say? I can get greedy, especially when I'm playing top tier meta decks. I tend to play a little greedier than in other situations. But throughout all of this, we still have the Hive of the Eye Tyrant, just chilling, being the Hive of the Eye Tyrant. Because a 3/3 with Menace that survives a board wipe feels pretty good here. Yeah, and our opponent sees it. So that's that. So thank you so much for checking out the video. This has been a ton of fun. Like I said earlier, my name is Graham, also known as HAMHOCKS42 on the internet. This is the Pizza Box, where we host all kinds of fun, amazing content. Please don't hesitate to hit the like and subscribe, and leave a comment. We'd love to hear your feedback. Also, we do host tournaments every 3 Sundays a month. mtgmelee is the place to go for information on that. There's going to be a link in the description as well. Please check those out. We do 3 a month, 2 of which are free to enter, and the only one with an entry fee also comes along with a qualifier invite. So please check those out. We'd appreciate it, and we'd love to see you out there. So thank you so much. Stay cheesy.